Watch Who?
Hello.
And welcome to Two Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
Oh, I see flares are back in fashion. I just wish my looks were.
Don't forget to put your glasses on, everyone.
Yes, we are back.
In the 90s.
And we are in the 90s. We are starting the 90s. So we've completed Classic, and now we're into those wilderness years, is what they're referred to by the fans. So welcome, Sarah.
Welcome to the wilderness.
So we are watching Doctor Who in order, and I think we should do the 90s because it's all part of the fan experience. So we are going to do various different spin-offs and unofficial things until the new series comes back in 2005. Well, actually, before we start, I forgot to do this the last couple of episodes. We should give a shout out to Christy, our listener, who has been tweeting us going through all of the episodes.
Yes, I have seen, yes. That's Christy.
She'll be catching up soon.
I know. And hear this.
yeah, she won't hear that. She'll hear it in like a year. But she's going through. So welcome everybody who is new to listening to the podcast. So you're looking at me like, you're looking at me like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I thought I'd do a little, a bit of a refresh for everyone. People might just be discovering for the first time, or doing the 90s with us for the first time. We've heard from a few people that are going to do this along with us that haven't done these things before. So welcome. We are all here together. Okay, right. I'll just get into it then. That's that bit done. You're just like, get on with it.
I have no idea what's happening. So yeah, let's go.
I'm just saying, welcome everyone. That's all.
Welcome all.
So we're up to 1993 today for Dimensions in Time.
We ended in 1989, didn't we?
Yeah, so we skipped ahead a few years. Nothing much was going on. As Dylan said last time on Survival, he gave us a bit of an update on an update on a bit of a history lesson on what happened. I feel like Dylan is an expert on this period. He's like the Professor Brian Cox of 90s Doctor Who.
Of the wilderness.
I feel. So he told us all about,
I feel, sorry, this just popped in my head. You know when people talk about going wild? Like, I'm going to go wild. Have you heard that? Yeah, this is me going wild. This is my wild phase. Okay, go on, sorry.
So the BBC were possibly going to make another Doctor Who, but then Steven Spielberg got in the way and other big deals and, dreams of all the different movies and things. So nothing really happened. Nothing is still happening by the time we get to 1993. So, history as well. At this point, like we said before, you're born, I'm around as well. And I have started watching the repeats on Doctor Who last year. Dimensions in Time is
I'm 3 at this point. 93, I'm 3.
This really is the first new Doctor Who that I ever saw.
Oh, this
Yeah, and I know it's not really sort of like an official episode or anything. It's not like, because 20th anniversary we had the 5 Doctors, 25 we had Silver Nemesis, and 30, unfortunately, we've got this as the 30th anniversary celebration. So 1993, there was a lot of Doctor Who stuff. They made a documentary that was on. There were plans. It's a whole lot. I'm not going to go into all the details. There were plans to do like a straight to video official like film with all the Doctors and stuff. The BBC were trying to get that out there and do that, and it all got caught up and just didn't happen. So we got this instead, basically, which is a Children in Need little skit at the end of the day. But It was new Doctor Who. All the Doctors were on the front of the Radio Times, which I've still got. I couldn't find it. I'm so ill prepared today. I was trying to find my most prized possession, my Dimensions in Time's Radio Times cover. And I've got my 3D glasses somewhere as well, because
of course you do.
I got them at the time. It's like Children in Need. It is a big thing, in schools and stuff.
It's huge in school. I feel like it's, maybe it's because we're older. It definitely felt like a massive thing in the 90s and 2000s. And I'm not sure if that's just because we were in school, but it definitely felt like a big thing. Comic Relief feels bigger than Children in Need does now. Maybe that's just me.
They were both really big. I mean, if you're for our non-UK listeners, it's like a big sort of charity thing, and everyone, it's like a telethon as well. It's usually on like a Friday night. You go to school, you pay like £1 non-uniform day or whatever for children in need, or you do an activity or something. The telethon aspect of it, you'd have all the different programs would sort of do something special or silly or whatever. And yeah, Children in Need just seems so big, and Comic Relief. And then Sport Relief came along, and now I feel like none of them are that big anymore.
Well, there's been a lot of think about it more recently, I think, because a lot of people are like, all of these pop star celebrities come on who have all this money, and they're like, give. And everyone's like, why aren't you giving? So I think there's been a lot of like, in the current economic climate of people giving, asking. The climate has changed a little around it, but it was huge.
Yeah, and you bought your 3D glasses, and that would go towards, Children in Need. So I remember that vividly, getting the 3D glasses, looking in the Radio Times, being really excited. There was a new Doctor Who. And actually, just while we're talking about that, before we go on to the 3D stuff, I think the next year was, and I don't know if anyone remembers this, I remember this vividly. I've got the book somewhere as well. It was Smell-O-Vision. Do you remember when they did that? They were always these kind of gimmicks, like 3D or something.
They always had a gimmick, yeah.
So I think Blue Peter had it was like a little booklet. It was like scratch and sniff, basically.
Yeah.
And there was like different programs had a different page. So I remember like the Blue Peter one, you'd watch the program, and then they'd do a little thing where like, oh, look at these lovely flowers, everyone, blah, blah, and you'd scratch it and like smell that, and there'd be like someone would like drop something on the floor and it would spill, and you'd be like, oh, you can smell that, blah, blah. And I just remember the chemical smell of this booklet. It just gave me a really bad headache. I don't know what chemicals they put in it, but they were really horrible.
Like everything. It was everything, Mark. That's what it was.
This is like 90s chemicals in a booklet. There was no health and safety even then. I don't know what we were all sniffing then, but I've got that somewhere. But anyway, 3D, which is a nice little gimmick. I mean, I would have loved to, if I would be more organised, send you some 3D glasses for you to try and watch this in 3D. But
it wouldn't have made much difference.
It was not very 3D, I have to say. But the idea, I've done a bit of research because it's on Tomorrow's World about how it is 3D.
But the 3D shown on the Beeb this week looks normal to people not wearing the glasses. That's because the effect doesn't rely on transmitting two separate images, but on a peculiarity of the way we see things. It's called the Pulfric effect. What it is that the eye and the brain actually take longer to process a dark image than a brighter one. That's why you've got a dark filter on one side of the glasses. That means that the brain gets information from the right eye a fraction of a second later than the left. Now, that delay can produce a 3D effect when something's moving on your TV.
Because Magic Eye stuff is slightly different. That is a different process where you've got like green and red, and you put the glasses on and stuff. This is a different type of thing. This is like processing. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter, everyone. It's 3D sort of, but not that sort of. But that is why the reason the camera's moving around, because you need the foreground sort of going circular, and then it's putting these two images of the darker and the thing together to bring things forward in 3D. Right.
But we're also talking like 90s 3D didn't really work. Like, I can think of experiences, 90s, early noughties, where we had 3D and it was shit.
3D, I mean, I was surprised. I bought a film, House of Wax, with like Vincent Price from like the 50s or whatever. They were trying to do cinema things back then in 3D. I don't know how that worked. It's always sort of been around, but it never really worked.
More recently, it works better. I've watched things in 3D in the last 5 years, and it doesn't feel like it impacts my experience going to see something in 3D. Whereas Once Over, it felt like a gimmick to go and see it in 3D.
That's the thing. I think that was trying to get people back in cinemas to give them a gimmick and stuff. And now it's sort of just normal. And you have like VR. I mean, you've got VR and stuff now. I mean,
or we have 4DX.
4DX and all of those, all of those things. As a child watching this, as like a 7-year-old, oh my God, 3D. And me, because I take this off the TV, whenever Ross came around, I was like, you've got to watch this in 3D. And we're like, wow, it's really cool. And I was like, actually it wasn't when we look back at it. I mean, with the star, with the title sequence and the stars, I mean, that sort of looks 3D without the glasses anyway, but we'd always like be staring with these glasses, just watching this over and over again, just like trying to, and it was a slight effect, but not very much at all. I think we should let's just go through the characters that we see.
Well, can we just start with one? The opening titles are awesome.
I mean, well, they're sped up with this like new.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I liked it. I just want to say that.
I mean, that was cool as a child. I was like, yeah, it's got like some really like.
It was fun. It was like, it was really fun. I just wanted to say that.
But also, they probably had a time slot. It's like this has to be 7 minutes in Noel's house party. It cannot be any more. You cannot waste it with the title sequence.
And it probably, I reckon it had to feel fresher. I mean, it finished in the 80s. This is the 90s. I reckon they thought, do you know what? We're going to update this. It's Doctor Who. We know the theme. Let's make it feel fresh. And it did. I was like, hey, here we go. I
mean, it's only been like 4 years. But I feel like even, being around at the time, Doctor Who was like an old, forgotten thing already. And you think that's only like 3 years. You think like David Tennant coming back recently after like however many years. And everyone's like, wow, yeah, we remember him, blah, 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 all like the amazing thing. Here, it's not like Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred are back, and everyone's like, wow, this is like it's not like that kind of thing. It's like, oh, this is still a thing. Like, it's like a forgotten ancient relic. Well, it felt like that already after like 3 years. It's really strange. But obviously you've got Jon Pertwee still doing the circuit, the variety show circuit of being the Doctor. He is absolutely loving it. Any game show, anything like this, he would turn up as the Doctor like that. I mean, that's how he was like at conventions at the time. I think he'd turn up in the full. He was loving it, So that's always a funny bit with the Noel.
I enjoyed the bit where he was like, I've been to 2010, was it? And you're still on TV.
Yeah.
I was thinking a Deal or No Deal, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what the Third Doctor's watching, Deal or No Deal. So let's go through just the characters we see, because actually some of these people that we see here, this was the first time I'd ever seen them because I hadn't got all the video. I've only watched a few repeats on TV at this point, so I didn't necessarily know who everyone is. So I'm interested to see if you recognised everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we have Seventh Doctor and Ace to begin with. They start off the story.
That's obvious. Yeah.
The current lot, and they don't seem any different at all. They have just carried on.
I didn't set the coordinates for 1973.
Oi! Is anybody there?
And then we have the Sixth Doctor appears, looking slightly older, but...
We seem to have slipped a groove in time. Where'd all these people come from?
It's obviously the Sixth Doctor, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Fourth Doctor does a big speech at the beginning.
Good luck, my dears.
Yeah. And again, it's the Fourth Doctor, yeah.
I mean, great for the Fourth Doctor, great for Tom Baker to take part. Remember he didn't do the Five Doctors.
Yeah, I thought that when he was on. I was like, but he's in a studio, he's not involved in like a physical way.
But I was going to say, yep, always insisting to be separate from everybody else. And there's a story like the producer was, they weren't sure if he put the costume on even. He was being a bit funny on the day. I mean, obviously he's going to do it for charity, I think. If it wasn't for charity, I don't think he would have done it. There's a story, he said they were getting ready, he had to getting his makeup on and ready to film it and stuff. And they didn't push it. They just hung the costume up in his dressing room and was like, hopefully it's going to come out. And then eventually he did. He just put it on and didn't make a fuss of it or anything. But obviously, it's a shame. He just doesn't want to interact with anyone else. It's just, even at this point, he's still like, I don't want anything to do with Doctor Who. I mean, that was years ago, but he's still...
very separate.
Yeah. But
great to have him there. Does his lines, does his bit. Very separate, though. Yeah. So we have that, yeah.
Rani.
Pickled in time, like gherkins in a jar.
Yeah. Oh, Rani's great in this.
Love Rani.
It was nice to have Rani. I thought Rani worked really well.
And, Third Doctor and Mel then.
What's happening?
Change.
You recognise Mel. Then Susan.
Where's Grandfather?
Was Susan next?
So it was a Sixth Doctor and Susan. She shouts out for Ian and Barbara. So
yeah. I thought, but I didn't think Susan was next. But yes, I noticed it. I knew it was Susan because she's got Ian. Where's Ian and Barbara? Yeah.
Sarah Jane.
But why the street market in London?
Yeah, Sarah Jane was in her dungarees.
And then you have Perry and Nyssa with the Fifth Doctor.
Yeah.
Feeding time at the zoo?
And the companions went in 2 by 2.
isn't Noah's Ark, Doctor.
So this is where, when I first watched it, I knew who Perry was. Never seen an episode with Nyssa, and she is just wearing some 90s outfit.
Yeah.
Obviously,
No, I knew that was Perry and Nyssa.
You recognise Nyssa because for many, many years, I thought...
I just thought that must be Nyssa with Perry. I don't know why. I just presumed it was.
I always thought for years and years until I saw a Nyssa episode, it was just some random woman from EastEnders. Because she just looks like...
Yeah, no, I think I don't know why I presumed it was, because Perry and Nyssa weren't together, were they? No, I just presumed it was Nyssa.
Okay. Then we see Liz.
This must
Leave this to me. I'll take my chance.
In the Third Doctor. Do you recognise... Well, I mean, she's not very...
I didn't recognise Liz, but yeah, you're right. Liz, sure.
Yeah, then we get Yates in Bessie.
Doctor! Come on, quickly!
Brigadier in the helicopter.
I'm finding it very difficult to keep up with all of you these days, Doctor.
Or Brigadier, yeah.
Romana's just crouched in the garage for a bit.
I was looking for the doctor. It's really any of your business.
Victoria is on the boat.
Who's that terrible woman?
Yes, and they have the whole line. He says, "Come on, Victoria."
She's very unrecognisable for me.
Unless he said that, I wouldn't have known it was Victoria.
I feel like they put that line in because nobody else would know. Leela.
Not before she cloned me, though.
Yeah, knew it was Leela.
Yeah, and then K9. So, all right, for the 30th anniversary, it's a great mix. And the way they wrote it, we'll go through the story just very briefly in a minute because I want to get your opinion.
It is
on
about 15 minutes.
Well, it won't take long. They were writing it because it was just whoever was available, a little bit like the Five Doctors. So they'd be writing it and it'd be like, oh, this person's not free, but this person is. This person's only got a day. This person's only... Do you know what I mean? So it had to be a script, I think, that it didn't matter who was actually in it.
But also that kind of works. It didn't matter that you weren't with your doctor or...
And then we've got the EastEnders crossover with it as well, which is totally random.
It works so well in Albert Square. I loved it being at Albert Square. And I also loved, I'm jumping here, that when we have all of the Doctor Who baddies on Albert Square.
I mean, I didn't watch EastEnders at that point. I didn't know, really who anyone was, but it doesn't really matter if you don't know who they are or not. They're just whoever happens to be around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the story, it's a bit of a weird one, and I don't think it makes any sense. And I know we shouldn't really be analysing it too much, but I just want to go through it. So you've got the Rani, and you've got, the first and second Doctor's heads floating around, supposedly, for 3D effect, which is a bit weird, and people are like, that's a bit tasteless.
They're caught, aren't they, is what it's
They're caught, but it's just random heads float, waxwork heads float, which are quite good likenesses, made by the same guy that did the Destroyer, the blue guy, and all the effects in the, someone's probably got those heads somewhere in a garage.
Sure they do. Or they've been melted, but anyway.
I mean, you can see he went on to do Madame Tussauds. You can see that. Bit weird. And the Rani's got a sidekick guy who's played by Sam West, who is a great actor. He's in the current All Creatures Great and Small at the moment. I love everything Sam West is in. He's quite young here. But it's nice. And you sort of see the Rani's TARDIS, but I don't know where that's from. It looks like it's got carpet.
Oh, it's really, it kind of looks like the old Doctor Who TARDIS, and then they've put in some random bits. So it doesn't look too much like it.
I mean, this whole thing, I think everyone sort of fandom were quite disappointed at the time. I was like, this is our 30th anniversary. But everybody, I think, appreciates it now. Every single line is totally quotable. I mean, pickled in time, gherkins in a jar. It's just ridiculous dialogue. It's just all really over the top. But the whole point is,
this is a classic fan thing. Hate it at the time, give it a bit of time, and they'll love it, okay?
So the Rani is collecting a specimen of every creature ever, like Noah's Ark, which is in-fitting with her character because she was always that sciencey, renegade-y person. She was always doing her science work or doing evolution or something like that. So that fits. That's quite good. Bit random that they're behind those round things, that she's keeping all these things. Yeah. That was weird.
Hey, you got to use them for something.
But no, it's a clever use. Finally, after 30 years, someone's found a use for the round things. Oh no, actually, the Fifth Doctor had medicine behind one once, but apart from that, you can keep...
And some wires.
You can keep... And she just needs a human being. So we could completely cut out this whole story if she just went down on Earth and just captured a human being. But no, we need a 30th anniversary story. So the Seventh Doctor and Ace arrive at the Cutty Sark.
Yeah.
So Cutty Sark, still there now. It got burnt down after this, but they've rebuilt it, so it looks completely different nowadays. And I don't think it's there's only a few bits of actual Cutty Sark left, I think, but it's still there. It's a great day out if anyone wants to visit the Cutty Sark. So the Rani has done this time loop in Albert Square. So when the Seventh Doctor and Ace land, they get sort of buffeted forwards and backwards in time around Albert Square. And as they do that, the Doctors and the companions sort of change in terms of time. Makes no sense because they don't physically change, but they all know exactly what the other one's thinking or not. Does not make much sense at all, I don't think. Because they change and then they're like, oh, what's happening? As if they're the same person, but they're not. So we shouldn't really look at that at all. But anyway, there's a time loop. So we've got these EastEnders character, and you've got, well, what's her name? Wendy Richard. Who does she play in
Wendy Richard. She doesn't play Pat. Pat, I can't remember.
Pauline.
She plays Pauline, yeah.
She's old to begin with. I thought they were all separate people when I first watched this, but she's been made up old and then young because you're supposed to be in like 2013. They're ahead, however many years.
Yeah, there's a lot of jumping back and forth. Yeah,
and then they go back and she's like in 1963 or whatever.
Oh, 1970 something.
70 in the 70s.
Because of the flares.
Yeah, you get all of that. I still think it's really weird to see a third Doctor and Mel paired up together. It's just a really weird combination of people that you would never dream of seeing. But it's quite nice to see them all sort of mixed up like that. I mean, what are you thinking when you're watching this? What were you expecting? Were you expecting like a proper...
I wasn't expecting Albert Square, I can tell you that. That was a great fun surprise. I wasn't expecting that many companions and that many... I don't know, like I said, I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was just sort of... I was surprised by the year jumps, and I was surprised how quickly. But again, it's a children in need short special thing. So
because there's a lot of just sort of wandering around, and it does this weird sort of like flash thing, which I think is supposed to. I don't know if that's supposed to look 3D or not. I never did.
Well, exactly. That's one of the things, and that kept happening, and then there'd be another like 30, 40 second scene, and so But again, it didn't really matter. This is one of those things, this is definitely one of those things. You cannot analyze the story too much. You just sit back and enjoy that you're getting to see all these companions, that what is happening, because it is just jumping.
Well, yeah, it's really weird because, like, why it's the Rani sort of imprisoning the Doctor in this loop so then she can go off and get a human without him interfering. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, it's nice to see Susan. She's doing what she does best and shouting out loud inappropriately in a crowd.
But none of it matters. None of it matters. Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't matter. Because then the Rani's like, oh, he's working things out. Release the monsters amongst Albert Square. So that's nice. It's just whatever costumes they've got left over from the series. You've got Cyberman, you've got an Ogre. It's nice to see. You've got Fifi in the luggage. You've got, them hanging out the windows and everything.
And there's loads, and they look great, and they're all on the square. It looks great.
It looks really good. Oh, and that's when the Fifth Doctor, Perry and Nyssa meet Pat Butcher, which is just a total random.
I love them meeting Pat Butcher, and she's like, they're like, run for your life, and she's like, I'm not going anywhere. I was like, yes. Yeah,
that is a great moment. I've never seen that park bit in the middle ever locked with a padlock before. I mean, obviously for convenience sake, they just run into that, don't they? Of course they get trapped there. Of course. Which actually they could probably easily climb over. I'm sure Perry's done worse than that in her time. She looks exactly the same, by the way, Perry. She looks younger than when she started. Remember when there's that famous line in the episode where we both say she looks 10 years older in the next season she's in? But she did look 10 years older in Trial of a Time Lord. But she looks like 10 years younger now. So whatever's happened to Perry in the 90s, it's done her well. I mean, Nyssa looks a little bit older. The Fifth Doctor looks exactly the same. And then, of course, the Rani comes out of the pub It's got to be there, hasn't it? I think is that her TARDIS is in there or something because they're all in.
I don't know. Again, her TARDIS though is like a monument.
Well, because it can change shape because the chameleon thing works.
Hers actually
because
works.
she tells all the monsters go back to my TARDIS, and all the monsters go into the pub, don't they? So they're all just filing in.
They're all just going into the old Vic. It's great.
Yeah. Okay, so we get halfway. We've had a nice run around. It's just great to see everyone. I think there's the vote. Who is going to say?
Was it Mandy? Was it Mandy?
Mandy or Big Ron? Okay, I didn't vote. I don't know why I didn't vote. It's a bit of a shame.
Mandy won.
Yeah, because you can see online. You can see both versions are online.
Oh, okay.
They're exactly the same. I mean, nothing happens. She just goes, "Oi, leave her alone," and then runs away. And then
it makes no difference. I thought it was going to be some big they help save the day. It does nothing.
Which is a really clever thing, which they could have done. I mean, if they didn't have the 3D gimmick, imagine if they'd done this kind of thing, and you could vote, for a couple of different things, and then that put the whole of the second episode together. A bit like Choose Your Own Adventure special. Why has nobody done that before? I mean, you could have.
They tried, and
well,
maybe.
But literally, the Big Ron one is even worse. He's like, "What are you doing?" And then he just sort of runs away. Nothing, no difference at all. So they really should have made more of that. I think it's always really weird that you've got the Doctor and Liz in the square bit, and then Liz is like, "I'm going to go and get her," sort of thing. It's like Liz would never do that. And then the Doctor wouldn't just stand there, and he's there watching them fight and not doing anything.
Yeah.
But maybe they were in the original script, they were the Doctor go, and they were I know, we need a vote halfway through. Why don't we send Liz, and then whoever can just jump in, and then John Pertwee doesn't have to do 2 scenes, but Liz can do 2 scenes because she's more free.
But that Doctor loved doing stuff. He was the hero Doctor. It didn't make any sense.
Speaking of that, he gets to zoom in Bessie through the market stall. I bet he loved that. And then, of course, we are celebrating 30 years of Doctor Who. Bring back the helicopters for my helicopter book. And it's Unit and the helicopters and the Brigadiers in the helicopter.
I'm glad Unit appeared as well, actually. If you're going to do that, you need a better Unit. Yeah.
But it's
Everyone
weird.
loves the Brigadier.
But again,
as we discovered in our 80s, All Stars, everyone loves the Brigadier.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice as well. They've written in that the Brigadier meets the 6th Doctor because they never met on screen. There was no, so this was that was a bit of a fan thing to be we've got to put those two together. Again, plot makes no sense because then the Doctor's right, get me to the. Get me back to my TARDIS. And then he says to the Brigadier, I've got to go back. I've got to find my friend. So he literally drove, got in a helicopter to come back again.
Again, at this point, there's that whole second part, the plot makes no sense, but I don't think it matters. It just cuts around. It's basically just a lot of scenes back and forth that have been added together, but with some dramatic music over the top. And even at the end, Ace is like, so how did we do it? And he's like, oh, well, we just sort of put her into another thing. And and she's like, oh, right, cool. And then it does the classic 90s freeze as they're like, oh. And that's how it ended. That was it.
Yeah, I was always confused about seeing Victoria there, Third Doctor Victoria. I mean, her voice is sort of the same in a way, but she doesn't look like Victoria. She looks tiny.
She's also far away. I don't think that helps. You don't really see her close to the screen. She was, most people were quite close. They were walking to it. She was quite far away. I don't think that helped.
Maybe that was it. And poor old Leela. I mean, they put her in a bit of a better outfit, but she probably didn't appreciate it.
Well, at least you knew it was Leela, though.
Yeah, just about. And then that is a really good example of the 3D, where they're in the middle and the camera just sort of goes round them for the whole time, and he's got to wave his hands and stuff. And then it's all reversed. I don't know what the Doctor does. Oh, totally forgot. Romana crouching in the meeting the Mitchell brothers.
Yes, that was great. I love the meeting the Mitchell brothers.
I mean, when you first saw Romana in Doctor Who, you'd never think one day she'll have a scene with the Mitchell brothers.
I don't think the Mitchell brothers thought they'd have a scene in Doctor Who, so there we are.
I mean, this is one. I've just watched this again. It's probably the most watched thing. I mean, because it's short as well. I've just can watch this again and again on a loop. It's just so much fun. And every line, like I say, is quotable. It's so silly. I mean, it's probably not the most appropriate way to celebrate 30 years of Doctor Who.
No, but considering it's not on TV, it's probably the best way to do it.
I mean, and it probably didn't sort of cement in the mind of the public watching, because, I mean, it's one of the most watched ratings ever because everyone was watching Children in Need. So you've got all of these people that haven't watched Doctor Who for years and years and years, and they watch it and they're like, oh yeah, it's that. That's how we remember it. Really silly and stupid and not making sense. It doesn't really help the cause to bring back a new series. And it's really sad. It's never come out on official release because apparently part of the deal was that everyone did it for free. And part of the deal was that it would never be commercially available. So
but that's everything that's Children in Need related. They never have done. So you can't get anything Children in Need.
So I don't think we never got this on a DVD, or I don't think we'll get it on a Blu. I don't know. Maybe things will change one day. But everybody, if you've not seen it, it's all on YouTube. One thing though, no Daleks. There was a brief scene you can see online. They did have a Dalek there. Terry Nation didn't allow use of the Daleks for Children in Need. So well done, Terry Nation. You're a millionaire over in America and you don't care for Children in Need. So that is a slight... I mean, Tom Baker did it. Come on, Terry Nation. If Tom Baker's going to do it...
You could have allowed a Dalek to be seen on screen, yeah.
So that is a bit of a shame, because if you're celebrating Doctor Who,
you're
going to want to have a Dalek. But no, they were really funny about the use of the Daleks in the 90s. It was a bit... bad, Terry Nation. But all it would have done was just gone across the screen and just said exterminate, but no.
They might not have even said anything because there's nothing that they say at that point. All those characters are just there, aren't they?
Yeah. Anyway.
That's it.
I mean, and that is pretty much it. It was an easy one to watch, but we had to include it. I don't include it as like, it's not an official episode or anything. I think in one of the books, they sort of wrote that the Doctor had a bad nightmare and he was running around with like these different things they've written here, that it was a dream sequence. It's just a silly thing you can just watch in like 20 minutes. Everybody gets to say hi to each other. All the actors probably get to hang out quickly and say hi, do something for charity.
Yeah.
It could have been worse. I'm sure people don't agree with me, but I think it's super fun, and I really hope they get it out on a Blu-ray or something one day. I'd love to see it in like proper clear picture quality with me glasses. I've got my glasses somewhere, and I'll just watch it again and again. So this is a really easy one for the 90s, but this sort of shows you the state of Doctor Who in the 90s at this moment.
What's next?
So next, okay, we're going to 1994. This is a straight-to-video spin-off.
Lovely.
And it's got some various Doctor Who actors in it, playing other parts.
Okay.
But we're doing this because there is one person playing their character from Doctor Who in this.
Right.
And it's Liz Shaw.
Oh.
It's basically Liz Shaw Investigates.
Oh, love it.
Don't get too excited because I don't know if you will like it or not.
Oh, okay.
So it's got all these other people in it. Some of the other doctors are in it playing different people, but it's called Probe, the Zero Imperative. And Probe, obviously because I can't use unit or anything, it's a similar type of investigative. Yeah. She investigates the unusual and the supernatural. Think X-Files meets Liz Shaw.
Right, okay.
So it's about 50 minutes.
Okay. Fine.
It's written by Mark Gatiss, who was a fan at the time and not known for any of his other stuff, who's also in it as well. We will give that a try and see what you think. This is, Dimension Time was like a nice little fun, sweet starter. This is like the difficult, heavy main meal of 90s Doctor Who, and will sort of set the tone for some of the other things we're doing. I mean, this is semi-professional. It's not like a big production company or anything. This is like fans who are in the industry that are getting together to make this, thing mainly for other fans. But I mean, it came out on video. It was, it was sold in Woolworths or whatever, but it's not official, not sanctioned by the BBC. We're going into those areas now where they've just got the rights to Liz Shaw. But we love Liz Shaw, didn't we?
We do love Liz Shaw. So there we go. Okay.
So let's see what happens there, everybody. Join us for that.
And it begins.
But no, I mean, I wasn't sure how you take Dimensions in Time. It's just fun.
It is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even think it's 20 minutes. It's 15 minutes. When you take out Noel's bits, it's not even that.
You've got to watch it with Noel's bits, though. That's what makes it really funny.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you next time then for the Zero Imperative. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 2watchwho, and you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/2watchwho. Bye.
Bye.
2 Watch Who.